And I want to talk a little bit about, do we have a Yoda problem? And I understand that we only have 3 months left. I get that. But when we talk a little bit, we talked about this with Django, and they banned Django because Django was just so much of the meta. I think Django was like, what, 47 to 50% of the meta.
I thought it was even higher, honestly.
It might have been. It was something crazy like that, and it had a conversion rate of over 30%. And I know that they were eating each other at that one, at that one regional, but still, Yoda is going to be on the rise because of the fact that, it has won so much. You can see the actual rise. So what I thought we'd do is let's look at the statistics. Let's look at what wins and loses against it. And then let's kind of talk a little bit about, do we actually think Yoda's tier S, I guess I would say, and or should we just be teching against Yoda a little bit heavier than we have been? All right. So, as you can see, Yoda is not the top one in terms of decks being played, but it is the second highest deck being played, and it is just slightly ahead of Han Solo being played. Now, for some reason, there's an unknown status. I have no idea what those
limited
mean.
PQ stuff.
Okay. I didn't know how to get that out of there. So it's there, unfortunately. But Yoda is hitting a 58% win ratio, right? Like that's pretty high. That's a high that's a high percent of win ratio. We can also look a little bit about it. The next one is the when we look at tops, it is, in fairness, it is tied with Han Solo for tops. So it has not exceeded the Han Solo.
Mind you, Han won.
Yeah, Han won third.
Which is only like 11 more decks played than Han 2.
Really, we have too many Hans. We have more of a Han problem than we do a Yoda problem. But needless to say, you could see the higher hero representation, right? And I think that makes some people nervous, when you have a lot of hero being represented comparatively. Even if you look at, decks overall, right? Hero takes up the first 5 slots of that. Then you have 2 villains, and then you're back to hero again. So it can be, I would say, a little concerning based on these numbers. So the next thing I did is I took performance rates, right? I didn't do this. The site did this, but I took screenshots of performance rates of Yoda over a 3-week time period, right? And I thought that's a good snapshot because you can kind of see where the curve goes. What I don't consider for December 1 is when I would say that was introduced, right? That's the first time we saw that deck of any sorts being introduced into PQ world. So I kind of skipped over that first week. But on December 8th, you could see it has a win share of 58%, a conversion rate of 33%, but less than 2% of the meta share. The next week, the meta share rises, which that's natural, right? We're now seeing it at 10%. The conversion rate drops to 23%, and our win rate is down to 51%. So we lost 7 points of win rate. We're losing 10 points of conversion rate, and our meta share is only up 8 points. So I would say that's probably fair and balanced to some extent, right? That makes sense. We see more. It wins. People go, oh, I should play this. Don't know how to play it. And then decide they're going to play it. But now we're hitting week 3. Our meta share went down. Our conversion rate went up. And our win percentage went up. Now we went from, it's even higher than the first week that it was played at 58%. So we're seeing the conversion rate go to 28%, and the meta share going down a whole 1%. It goes down, right? That win rate hitting that 60%, that can become a little bit more troubling. That's when we go, okay, so we're seeing the meta share decrease a little bit because not everybody who wanted to play it won with it. But then all of a sudden, we're still seeing a high meta share, and we're seeing a higher conversion rate, and we're seeing a higher win rate. So, what do you guys think about that? Alex, we'll start with you. Okay,
I
fine.
mean,
JJ, we'll start with you.
no, I can talk.
Okay.
It's just like I'd be kind of curious to see what Yoda's win rate is without Wooo playing it for 3 straight PQs and not really losing around. um, I don't think it's like that crazy impressive of a like giant boogeyman deck. This is pretty good into the meta, but it does tend to lose to faster aggro decks and like blue green villainy or anything with just like a pretty substantial endgame. Because there's an output like an insane amount of damage, but like it can control enough and can kind of grind you down. But if you have like a really fast kind of aggro deck, or I mean, like a lot of people are saying like Han2 ECL is what's really good into this deck, so it's going to be back to the cyclical kind of oh well, like soft control slash mid range is happening a lot, so aggro is going to increase to kind of counter that. Or if there's too much soft control, then like the harder controls decks are going to come there and feast on that. I don't know. It's a great deck. Don't get me wrong. I'm not terribly like, oh, this is like super impressive. Maybe it's just because of the decks that we play, right? Where we have substantially better endgame than this Yoda deck. That it's skewing my opinion on it, but like it's good. I'm very curious to how not Woo stats are.
Yeah. And I think that's that's fair a little bit, right? Like that is fair because he did take it to 3 PQs, went almost undefeated in every one of the PQs.
Well, he didn't drop a round, right?
In most of at least the last 2, he didn't. No, in the first one I think he did, but in the last 2 I don't think he did. We have those stats we could look at. We could actually look at those stats in a minute. JJ, what were you gonna say?
Well, I mean, the other thing to consider, right, is the what makes the deck really good, right? There's a lot of good restore cards that have come out in the last 2 sets that have really increased the power of this particular leader, and then you increase or you add on Datavault. Datavault definitely it's got to be more popular as a base than any other green at the moment right now, even more so than ECL. And that extra 3 health and adding more cards into your deck, having that 60 card count, definitely helps you maintain or control the flow of the game, especially when you start putting in stuff like restore and stuff into the deck. It just makes it harder for your opponent to reach that goal to destroy the enemy's base. Of course, there are counters for it, but not everybody tends to play like hard control. That would definitely be the answer for this particular deck. So it's kind of evolved over time to become a top deck. I don't know if I would call it overly oppressive, because it does need to have a couple of things go in a row, and there are also ways for you to stop the restore process. I mean, you have stuff like Shield Gate, which prevents healing. That prevents damage to the base, right? You got the Tri Fighters in red that prevent bases from being regenerated. Same thing with like Wolf in red as well, that prevents bases from being healed. You have mechanics like that help take away some of the power that Yoda has. So that's something to maybe consider as side deck if you're running those particular type of stuff, or just making sure they have ways to answer some of their restore tactics on there. Things that can exhaust or waylay units away that have restore is another way to do that as well. So there are definitely different answers there. It's just because they're not stuff that's readily spread out throughout the meta, or because there are other stronger cards that do more direct damage. It's just the reason why you're not seeing that as well. And Yoda kind of is sitting in a pretty good perfect storm of what makes it good right now in the current meta.
All right, so let's look a little bit about matchups, right? Let's look at some of the matchups. So according to Sue Stats, its best matchups are Gar ECL,
Yeah,
Cad Tarkentown.
That's a little bit weird to me, honestly. because the Gar ECL tends to play a lot of like shielded units, right? So they don't tend to die.
I would think that too, but it has only. I mean, in fairness, it's a
you way lose out in the end game, so that's probably a majority of it.
yeah. And then Vader, 30 health yellow, right? Like, which makes a little bit of sense because they have enough restore and the ability to absorb some of that damage and take out the few things that you need to take out in Vader to stop him. Now it says, according to it, the worst matchups are Han 2 ECL, right? Palpatine yellow, which we're going to talk about this in a minute because that's crazy to me that the current Palpatine yellow is better than this. Like, that's like, I don't know. And then Sabine ECL, of all things, Sabine ECL is like up there.
Fast aggro and better late game stuff.
Yeah. Now I did pull some stats from one of the other sites, right? And so if we look at the other sites, this deck is obviously designed to counter Anakin Datavaults, which is what the prominent thing was during that time, right? It has a 67% win against that, 65% win rate against Han, 30 health. And this is where Sam says he never had a Yoda problem, but I feel like that's a Yoda problem right here, right? It does not like Piat JTL. And we ignore the unknown. It doesn't like Kira. It doesn't like Sabine, but then it feasts on Boba, Vader, and it really hates Han 2 ECL, which we saw above, right? The other one that it doesn't seem to like is Rey Datavault, which I guess makes a little bit of sense because your restore is better in Rey
and Datavault. You can go a little bit faster, and like your end games are very similar.
Han Solo blue, so Han 1 blue, baby. It doesn't like.
No, that's Han 2 blue. Han 2 blue force. That's what that is.
Oh, Han 2 blue. Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes more sense then. Okay.
Yeah, Han 2 blue force makes a lot more sense.
And then there's the Palp yellow again, and then Kylo Datavault and Palpatine blue. So the counter is Palpatine blue, which I feel is pretty well positioned in this meta. Like, we don't have a ton of aggro right now.
Yep.
So what you're telling me is everybody wants to run the. It sucks. We don't have a PQ for like over a month, so I can't test this theory, unfortunately. But I would like to test this theory next week or whatever. Somebody host a PQ quickly in Michigan area, so me and Alex can take Palpatine blue and just go crush all the Yodas.
I got a PQ in 2.5 weeks here in Raleigh, so I'm saying.
Okay, take Palpatine blue. There you go. That or Yoda Datavault. So I think a couple of things, right? I think one of the questions, and I will give credit to Woo where credit's due. Woo's a very good player, right? So we are going to look at Woo's deck in just a few minutes. But I think the question becomes is Woo also had this video that says, should we be using Datavault all the time? And basically was made an argument that we should not be using Datavault as much as what we have. Now, while I disagree with him a little bit in some of his choices, like I still think Boba Datavault is fine. Boba 4 Datavault is fine. We're seeing, their argument can be made with more concise lists. Can you aggressively tech against Yoda? So the question I have is, does Yoda feast on these other decks because Datavault is more prominent, as you could see in this list, right? And because the correct choice would be for them to go with a 30 health base, 10 less cards, and have actually more cards to specifically deal with Yoda's problem. Do we feel that maybe there's a Datavault problem with too many people playing Datavault, and that's why this Yoda, where it correctly works with, is feasting on some of these other decks? What do you think?
You said a lot of words. No, I mean, like, it's a lot of it is what I've been explaining to people. It's like, hey, again, faster aggro, better endgame stuff. Like, people are really teching for like the big boogeyman stuff, which is decently represented, but not nearly as like hugely. It's not like a majority of the tournament is like was Anakin, right? And it's not like a majority of these tournaments are like Yoda Datavault. Yeah, they might be the most popular deck, but it's not like you're playing them 4 out of the 6 rounds.
Yep.
So like I don't know, it's the homogeneity is kind of weird. But yeah, I mean just I mean I'm always going to recommend just play like blue green villainy stuff.
Sure.
Or just play the mirror and hope that you have initiative. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go. Just play for the 50-50 they have initiative.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I wondered if the Datavault choice is just what's holding up some of these other decks. Is that why? Like, because Yoda, it does show Yoda has bad matchups. The Han 2 ECL felt a little weird that was like so dominating over Yoda. But maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe that's the right call. Like because
it's fast. The tempo swings you get out of it is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the majority of it, right? And
yeah, exactly. That you can really build strong units quickly that can help beat down Yoda if they need to, or just swing into the base faster than they can heal. And if you're Yoda, if you're the Yoda player and you don't have the responses to those particular units, if you can't have a way to remove those units fast enough, then your 1 or 2 restore is not going to do much in terms of the amount of damage that those units are playing. So that's probably why that matchup wins most of the time, and usually it'll win by like turn 4 or 5, just depending on the how strong those units become in that short amount of time. Especially if they spend a turn to like resupply.
Sure. Way to rub it in, JJ.
I don't know. I mean, like, people say the 3 health on Datavault super matters. I tend not to believe them. Sure, it stops you from being like put into like kind of like check, like chess. That's usually the analogy that people give you. It gives you an extra tempo there where you might not have had it before. You can also do that by just playing differently. Honestly, but like I don't know. I wouldn't ever want, like, I don't think Datavault needs to be banned. Like, the decks that play Datavault are wildly different playstyles of Datavault. Like, they happen to have the same base because it behooves them to have the 3 extra health with 10 extra cards of better options to have for any given scenario. But like they all play wildly differently. Like Kira does not play at like Anakin at all, who does not play like Boba Datavault, who does not play like Yoda Datavault, who doesn't play like Luke Pilot Datavault. Like they're all way different playstyles. They just happen to use the same green base because green's really good right now, and they printed a lot of really good green cards that are just really versatile. And the meta's slow enough that the green cards matter with their resourcing, which is like their whole shtick, right? Is they're good for resources. They ramp. They play some big units, but now they got like some really good sentinels, some really good units to let you go wider.
So why do we feel? And I guess since you're the resident Han player today, why do we feel this beats Han 1 green? Because they play the exact same green units. Like the same green unit. Is blue just that much stronger than yellow?
It has a better endgame, like, and removal. That's mostly what it comes down to. Like it's like Han green, like has always been like not the great endgame deck. It's just like this really strong tempo. You get the advantage early and close it out kind of thing. Yoda's able to slow it down enough between the various sentinels, restorers, and the ability to like also ramp with them, especially with like the double spark of hope that like Wooo has in his, that like you can kind of keep pace, but you can also do things like play Vanquish or play Takedown or Rivals and Luke's, right? Like you're able to control the Han, and the Han falters in the end game. As long as you can stall that deck out, that's what happens.
Well, the other question is and in a second we'll get to the deck, but like the other question is like you're my only hope, right? Like you kill something of Yoda's as a Han player, or you swing into something of Han's, kill your unit. You can now over ramp whatever Han's done. It doesn't. Han's 2 resource turn is inconsequential.
Yeah,
Because
Han can play a 7 cost a card on the 5 resource turns just as well as Yoda can.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can bring Han out, have him swing, drop a Caloran, and then you can just bring Luke out and kill the Han.
yeah, which then just kind of ruins the Han's day, because then he's getting rid of 2 resources. He's back to 6 resources. Yoda gets to be able to hit the 6 resources. Then they can ramp safely if they need to. Because, and again, I think that's the bigger question, right? You know, and let's cover Woo's list, I guess, because that's the big thing. Is like, is the "You're My Only Hope" Yoda combo just powerful enough that we need to we either A, need to ban or do something about it, or B, we need to be actually teching against that. And I think, you know, we could look at Woo's runs. And do we want to go cover the runs first, or do we want to cover the list first?
I mean, it'd make more sense to cover the list first.
Okay. Because
I don't see how the runs are terribly relevant.
Well, because the question is what is he playing against that he's beating? Because that's one of Woo's big things is he's playing other control decks and winning. The Chancellor Palpatine Datavault is a good example of that. He's beating Chancellor Palpatine Datavaults. And so that's why because the other question is are you playing against Sabays, right? Like things that discard cards you need. Like Sabay has the ability to sequence correctly and can correctly sequence a certain way to be able to discard the card that you put on top with Yoda, or discard and get rid of your "My Only Hope" or something silly like that. So all right, let's go over the list first. Who wants to run the list now?
I mean, I can go through the list pretty quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Woo's Yoda Datavault, I believe the only thing he's changed was the sideboard going between the 3 PQs that he had. So it's double Confiscate, triple Battlefield Marine, triple the Gonk Droid, triple Mina, triple the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, a single Yaddle, double Spark of Hope, triple Blue Leader, triple Green Obi-Wan, triple Village Protectors, triple Resupply, triple You're My Only Hope, double Bright Hope, triple Typho, the green Typho, not the blue one from Twilight that no one's ever played, double Takedown, triple Queen Amidala, triple Vanquish, triple Resupply Carrier, double Rivals Fall, double Kelleran, triple Blue Luke, double Home One, and triple Bo-Katan. In this particular sideboard, he has a double Charge with Corruption, triple Your Escort Fighter, 1 blue Obi-Wan Sentinel, double Hyperspace Disaster, a triple Kelleran, and a triple Home One.
Yep. His sideboard has remained relatively the same.
It's mostly just a couple cards here or there.
Yeah, the difference is originally he had Traitorous in the main board, and Confiscates were in the sideboard. That was just so you know, that was the difference. In his second one, he got rid of the Traitorous and went directly to just Confiscates in the main board. And that's why, excuse me, that's why you see, the big change, right? And he tried Direct Hit out, I guess.
I mean, it's a solid card. If he was having issues with space, Direct Hit's fantastic. But he seems to have that pretty covered. I'm sure that's why you removed it.
Yes. And then that's when the Charge with Corruption was the other sideboard cards that he put in there. Now, I have not watched his video to know if he's going to even keep the sideboard the same. My assumption is he'll probably leave this deck alone for a while and go play something different. But I could be wrong, I guess.
He's going to go play Kira.
Maybe he will go back to Kira. I don't know. It's funny. He could just own just blue and green cards for his whole life, and he could probably just sell everything else he owns. But yeah, so that's what the deck is. So if we look at the different runs that he had, right? So what I've done is I took 3 of his and 1 of somebody else's, just to kind of see if there's a difference between it. So the first one, he lost 1 to a Boba Datavault and 1 to a Cad Bane.
What? Where?
He's not losing rounds. He's dropping games.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm just like, that makes more sense.
Yeah. But so if you look in his run, he beat, there's the Vader. He beat the Cad Bane, Poe Dameron. If you could beat Vader, you could beat Poe pretty easily. Boba seems to be different. So the things show that he's not. He beat Duncan Howard. Ironically enough, he beat Duncan Howard's Hard Control Deidre deck.
Well, that Deidre deck's not hard control. We went over it last week or 2 weeks ago.
You're right. You're
Like,
right.
It's not hard control.
It's not like my deck. No.
Yeah, it's not designed to function like a hard control deck.
It's control or hard control adjacent.
Yeah, honestly.
And then he draws to the Anakin and the Piat, right? In the top, he plays a mirror match, beats it, which makes sense, right? Beats Duncan again, and then beats the Anakin, which I think makes sense. This deck does definitely feel very good in the Anakin. Like, holy crap.
That's what it was made for, right?
Yeah. The next run is he beat a Deidre. I'm guessing that's blue as well. I don't know what that
is. Yes.
Okay. And then he beat a Han, a Piat, a Yoda. He drew to the Gar and to the Anakin. Then he beats the Piat. He beat a Palpatine, which is a Palpatine blue, which that's crazy to me that he beat that Palpatine blue. And then he after that beat a Iden Datavault deck.
Yep, that's the kind of weird part to me there too. But wasn't that the one that was like went to time?
No, that's the third one.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah, the third PQ.
Oh, I see this. Not the Iden, not the Palp. My bad.
Yes, the third PQ. He played an IG-88 deck.
Brilliant, just brilliant.
Yeah. A Gar Saxon, a Palpatine Datavault, a different one than in the finals. Another Palpatine Datavault, Han Solo. He also drew to the Sabay, which if you look at it, he didn't actually play any Sabays at all, he didn't even play a lot of yellow against any of these outside of the Vader and that Palp. Oh, he didn't even play the Palp yellow. So he actually isn't playing yellow. So he swerved and missed all these yellows completely.
Must be nice.
Outside of the Han Solos, right? And we already talked about, because Han Solo has moved to a pseudo aggro tempo deck, that Han Solo is completely different than what we would like normally see. I pulled one other record, somebody else that also played the same week that last week with it, and it looks like they beat a Darth Maul deck, which okay. They beat another Yoda. They beat a DJ, which again probably makes sense. Because it was a Lake Country DJ. Like, I don't even know what that deck does.
We covered it at some point, I think.
No, I think we covered a DJ blue deck. We covered a blue deck. He beat another Yoda, and then drew into a Yoda and drew into a Vader. Then in the top cut, one against the Han, one against the Vader again, and then beat out another Yoda Datavault in the finals. So this tells me do not play Yoda Datavault, Chris, because you are going to absolutely hate playing mirror matches. I hate playing mirror matches like nobody's business. But the big thing you're seeing here is you're not seeing a lot of yellow, right? Like, yeah, okay, the DJ is yellow, but I don't consider the... I'm just not going to consider...
It's fine.
Yeah, the DJ... like, I hate saying that, but that's what that feels like, right? And so, like, we're seeing what all this is winning to, and it's not playing like the Sabays. It does... Okay, in fairness, it does beat... he has had success against the Cad Bane, but we haven't seen this play a Quinlan. So if we scroll back up, I don't even see Quinlan in here. I don't see Quinlan as a deck that he's played against, or that Yoda Datavault play. Oh, it has a 75% win rate against it. Okay, so I do see it. There it is. But the question is like, is there yellow decks that can beat this? Like, can a double yellow deck beat this? Could a double yellow Han beat this? Right? Could a double yellow Sabay beat this? Could we tweak other yellow decks to actually be able to play that creates discard? We don't, like, these decks are not playing discard. He doesn't have graveyard mechanics in this Yoda deck. And so, like, if you look at this run, it feels very linear. Like, it feels like it's a lot of hero. It feels like swarm decks and mid-range decks. And not outside of the 1 week. That 1 week he played a ton of control. So he's beating Chancellor Palpatine's Datavault decks, which We already talked about it's not a hard, like people don't play it like we do. And outside of that, Aiden and that Pelp Blue, like I would be very interested to have Wooo on the show and actually talk about that, because like the question I have is like, if hard control doesn't beat this, and that's why I want to do the whole segment. So this is the whole crux of the whole thing is, if hard control cannot beat this, if soft control cannot beat this, if mid-range can't beat this, and if aggro is not beating this, what beats this then? And because that's the true question. And that's when we have to start talking about whether this is a tier S deck or not. Because Wooo makes this look like a tier S deck, 100%. But the question becomes, when we look at the other guy that ran Woo's deck, I mean, and his deck's almost identical to Woo's. He's not playing against a bunch of hard control at all. He's playing mirror matches, and a couple of weird decks. Like Darth Maul's not a serious deck to like. Sorry, Darth Maul's fun. It's fun to play. It's just not a seriously competitive deck. DJ is not a seriously competitive deck. And I genuinely understand why Yoda can beat Vader. Like I do understand how Yoda actually beats Vader. So,
I mean, for me, I think that, for a deck to be S tier, it has to be something that's repeatable, right? You compare like previous S tier decks and like earlier metas like Sabine and Boba, right? You had multiple players being able to replicate the same success with that particular style of deck. When it's limited to one player in particular, maybe two or three, then it.
But we're not seeing that, JJ. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
We're seeing multiple people having, like last PQ weekend, Yoda Datavault won 3 PQs.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's too early to call it S tier deck. It definitely has the potential to be that way. I think I would like to have a little more data just to help support it, and we're probably going to see that in the coming weeks with more PQs coming back. At that point, we can have a definitive answer whether or not it is. My gut feeling is that it's not there yet, but it is pretty close. It's like a very high A tier deck. The other part of the problem too is, what decks they were facing in order for them to make it to the high levels, right? It's because a lot of times, sometimes you have the luck of the draw where you just have a couple of like non-serious decks that you face, and they're easier to beat with this particular style of deck because they don't really have the correct answers for it, for this style of deck, and they make it. And other times you have players that, you have people who are playing Yoda Datavault and they don't make it all the way. So it just really depends. And that's what I'm saying. Like right now, it's hard to call it an S tier deck, and at least in my opinion. And so we have a little more information for PQs, but we'll definitely have that probably by next month for sure, a definitive answer.
Alex?
I mean, I don't think it's an S tier deck. I think it's strong. I think Wooo is an S tier player. But I don't know. I wouldn't put stuff in my deck. Like I don't know what you would put into like specifically deck against this. Like I don't think there's cards that you'd insert at all to like to specifically counter this. I don't think there's not much to counter it. I think it's just a very good 50-50 deck, and if you're very good at making the correct decisions, they can go really well.
Well, I think the thing is we've seen, if we go back to the statistics, right? Like you go back to the statistics, and the week 3 is the week we should see it drop. But yet, instead of it dropping, it raised back up, and that's to me that's
why
the bigger.
Would you expect it to drop?
Well, because now you're having more and more people. So 2 weeks of success, you would think by the 3rd week, you would have even more people playing it, and the more people that play a deck, the lower it goes, right? So like, okay, Vader, people thought Vader was this tier S deck originally, right? Because there was like 5 or 6 of us. We were one of the top represented decks in Richmond, period. But once people figured out how to play against it, right? It was not a tier S deck. It's genuinely not a tier S deck. It's just not. Because more and more people continue to play it, the numbers go down. So the win rate conversions go down.
Do we know how many people like jumped aboard from week 2 to 3?
We lost 1%. It lost
of people.
share. Yes.
Well,
So it went
guess
down.
there's your answer, right?
So
If
yeah,
less
so
people are playing it, then by what you said, it would go up, right? Typically.
no, you would see it not go, you would not see it like that much. Okay, when I had 2% of people playing, it hit a 58% win rate. Now I've got 9.5% of people winning, and I have a 60% win rate. That should not happen. We should see that scale, that win rate, come down closer to that 50%. That's technically what should happen. Now maybe it's just all the really good players are playing it. That could be an anomaly. It could be that they're playing against like decks like Wooo has. Wooo just seems to be the outlier in terms of like him being able to crush the majority of the decks he's playing against. Though he has not had to play against ECL Sabine. He hasn't had to play
an ECL Han, right?
Or an ECL Han. Yeah. Either. And so he hasn't had to play certain aggro/hard aggro style decks.
Doesn't look like he played Han 2 at all.
No, he hasn't.
Which generally does really well in these
according
decks.
to the statistics. Yes, exactly. And that's like, so again, like some of it is swerving and missing, right? I also think Han 2 is on the rise, whereas before it was not. And I think Han 2 is on the rise because people are calling this out as a counter deck to Yoda. I don't know if that's really true or not, because I've not spent any time testing it, because Han 2 ECL is not what I would play. I would play the Datavault version in a heartbeat over the ECL version. And I probably just don't play Hero, if we're being honest. I just don't play very much Hero. So I don't know. I'm not trying to sound the alarm and say, hey, oh my God, the world's falling, right? I'm not saying we should have immediate bans or changes. Like, I definitely don't think we go and ban Datavault, and I don't think we ban Yoda at this point, right? In any way, shape, or form. Like, I'm not advocating for any sort of meta changes, other than it would be fun if you brought Jango and Boba back, just so I could play Jango and Boba in this meta. But I don't care that much. You know, that's just Tanner being selfish to be able to play Boba again.
I don't think any card right now is really worth a ban. Honestly, I think the game is very well balanced.
Yeah. But I think the question becomes is, how do we stop this Yoda train? And like, if you're playing against Yoda, it's the same thing.
Aggro.
Oh. Okay, well, if maybe that's the answer, right? Maybe.
Because there hasn't really been, like, this meta hasn't been like super aggro. I mean, like, the Anakins can go kind of wide and they're sticky with the Karis and the Padmes, but it's not like that's an aggro deck. No one really played too much aggro in this meta.
Yeah. That's not traditional aggro deck. That's more like a tempo deck, right? Or even a mid-range deck, because you're not really, like, you don't even have any end game. You have no end game, really. Like, your end game is Anakin unit.
Right. Or like home one occasionally. Or, well, I mean, like, Kelleran swings for 7. That's pretty big, but
yeah. Because I would consider Yoda like the very peak end of that mid-range, and I think Bo-Katan is like, we've recognized Bo-Katan was a thing. I have Bo-Katan in my Ray deck. I have a Ray Datavault deck right here. Like, Ray Datavault. I was
really happy that Blue finally got a finisher in their things, because felt like the Ray, like mono blue Ray I was playing. Right now, I have a finisher with Bo-Katan and Captain Rex.
Mm-hmm. So that's fine. And like I said, I'm not trying to say this is an S tier deck. What I'm trying to say is we should be all having a conversation around this, especially as in a competitive community, because I think this, if you're going to go to a PQ, you're going to see this. You're going to see this for at least 2 weeks until somebody figures out how to continue to tamper some of this down. And if aggro is the way to tamper it down, because aggro beats hard control and soft control most of the time, and then aggro can beat this Yoda deck, then what you will do is you'll see the Yoda deck fall off, you'll see aggro come back, and then you'll see some of these other mid-range, such as the Han 2s, like Han 2 Blue, Han 2 Datavault, you'll see some of the other things, or you'll see Han 1 actually adapt to be a mid-range deck instead of being the stupid BS aggro deck that it is. And I will flat out say, Sam, if you ever bring Han 1 again, like 2 locals, I will take Yoda and just leave Yoda up and just play Yoda against you, I guess, because it just beats it. So like, I don't want to play against Han 1 anymore, because I think it's boring and I'm sick of playing against Han 1. And I would say the same thing. Like, I'll just start playing Yoda, I guess, or Trench.
Man, you got to come to my locals where no one really plays the meta stuff. We got fun decks. We got people playing like Avar. like Dryden Blue Force. I had Gar ECL, but it's like my Gar ECL, Java, Slimeore,
Yeah.
Bale.
I've been playing a lot of Third Sister lately, and actually, I really like Third Sister.
There's been a fair amount of like Third Sister decks like that's been flowing around. A couple of my locals are really excited to play it.
Yeah, I think it has legs, at least after rotation. I think it has legs. Because a lot of the cards that I play in it, I don't need outside of like Surprise Strike and the stupid Hotshot Blaster, right? Like when we all lose Smuggle, we all lose Smuggle. So,
yep.
It'll be a very sad day when we lose Smuggle. Except for you'll be excited because nobody will tell you to put a Forlom in your deck anymore. You'll be like, I can't. It's banned.
Forlom.
Oh, not Forlom. I'm sorry. Lom Pike.
There you go. I don't care. I'm not putting that in my deck.
I know you hate that card. It's funny.
I hate the card.
You do too. You hate that card. You hate it.
I don't hate the card, and it's like I have it in Lamasu because it really works in Lamasu.
So in a conclusion, we probably don't have a Yoda problem yet, but we probably should be spending a little bit more time playing against the Yodas and maybe playing decks that counter the Yoda a little bit better to kind of push it out of the PQs. Or let it stay, and at the end of January, I could play my Palpatine Blue deck, and I will actually be very excited because I'll get to play Palpatine Blue in a PQ. So,
nice.
Not saying that's what I'm taking the PQ, but